You can play Reverend Wright's sermons on every channel, every day, and talk about them from now until the election, and make the only question in this campaign whether or not the American people think that I somehow believe or sympathize with his most offensive words. We can pounce on some gaffe by a Hillary supporter as evidence that she's playing the race card, or we can speculate on whether white men will all flock to John McCain in the general election regardless of his policies.
That was more from Barack Obama's speech earlier today, and we're now going to continue with Frank Luntz. So what did you think of that clip?
Look, it's a powerful point that we have to move on, that there are bigger issues that we are facing. The question is, can you have this discussion without trivializing it? Can you discuss race without immediately going to the most extreme positions? And I'm not convinced that we can. On news networks, on articles in newspapers, it is very hard to talk about it without people getting defensive or accusatory. However, in this next clip, and this is the one part of the speech, and I have always appreciated Obama's communication. This is the one part of the speech that I personally found offensive because he tries to make it partisan and political. Let's listen.
Anger over welfare and affirmative action helped forge the Reagan coalition. Politicians routinely exploited fears of crime for their own electoral ends. Talk show hosts and conservative commentators built entire careers unmasking bogus claims of racism while dismissing legitimate discussions of racial injustice and inequality as mere political correctness or reverse racism.
Now, look, let's talk about class warfare, which is what the Democrats have always tried to do against the Republicans. It's been Bob Shrum's strategy since the 1970s. This is not about Republicans talking about affirmative action or welfare or Democrats or whatever. This is about a religious figure, a very important person in Senator Obama's life, who has a point of view that is frightening. Hey, this is a very legitimate discussion, and I do believe that this is turning against him.
You see, I agree. And now, we first interviewed right here on this program March of 2007, and anybody that's listened to my radio program or watched this program, you know that we have been in the forefront of raising the issue of Barack Obama and his associations, not only in this case, but with William Ayers of the Weather Underground. Here's a question I have, because we're dealing tonight with honesty, and we're dealing with judgment. Those are the two fundamental questions here.
And association.
And association. That means a lot.
You judge people by the friends they keep.
I agree. What if Barack Obama, for the entire year that the move-on media out there has ignored any scrutiny of him, and they've gone along with the bumper sticker of change and the slogans, what if he really deep down in his heart thinks like Pastor Wright?
It's not for anyone to answer that question.
Well, is that dangerous for this country? I think that would be dangerous. That would mean we would have, if he agreed with Wright, and I don't know that he does, but if he did, that would mean a racist and an anti-Semite would be president of the United States.
But I want to be fair. What is in his heart, we cannot tell. We can only react to the language, to the words.
Do you believe he didn't know this about him?
We know
about Wright.
We know that he had denied linguistically. He said that he'd never been there
when this was happening until today.
And now he's acknowledged that he has. But if he is shown, if YouTube were ever to get footage, a video of him there when this happens, then he's in trouble.
But weren't we queued up to that when he didn't show up, when he disinvited him to the invocation? You don't disinvite your pastor unless there's a good reason. You don't say those sermons are kind of rough unless you sat there and knew that they were kind of rough. And even though he said originally, oh, I had no idea that this type of thing was being said. There's an inherent inconsistency here, and he seems, again, I'm back to the political expediency. This is a speech for somebody trying to save their career after a 20-year association.
And I want audiences to watch the retape of this, because if they see in the speech that he had done in your segment with Dick Morris, underneath him was the phrase judgment to lead. Does this suggest that he has the right judgment? The friends that he chooses, the religious leaders that he follows, and the things that he says. It's a legitimate question.
What would be the danger? You talk about words that work. What should Senator McCain do? What should Senator Hillary Clinton do in the less than a minute we have left? Should they get on this at all, or stay away from this and let those of us that have led from the beginning continue to talk about it?
For Senator Clinton, her problem is that every time she tries to touch anything like this, she ends up hurting herself, because it just comes across negatively. And for Senator McCain, his job is foreign policy.
You know, it's gotten out there in the media that I broke this story. It's gotten out that our interview back in March And by the way, other people trying to take credit, that's just their egos talking. But in reality, there are people hostile to me in ways that I have never seen in my 12-year career, emails, letters, threats, because I told the truth. Can you believe that?
And you've got the evidence. You've got the tape to prove it. Congratulations, Sean.
Thanks. Well, we'll talk more in the future.